What's going on, everyone? Welcome to a Thursday edition of Back Your Play with Q. I'm your host, Rich Quinones. As always, we are brought to you by our wonderful friends over at Play It Again Sports, 1450 Clemensford Road in Deptford, New Jersey. By the way, stop in right now, man. I know it's raining down the shore, but we got hit with some snow in Cumberland County, Burlington County, Cape May County. For all you guys that love to ski, they got discounts on snowboarding, ski equipment, boots, everything you guys need. Go in there. More importantly, as I told you, they'll give you some good cash for your product, used merchandise, used equipment. They got everything you need. Spring's right around the corner. Let's get through winter, but spring's right around the corner. And I'm telling you, come March, they're going to have some big time sales that we're going to talk about here on BYP. But stop in right now. Tell them you heard about it right here on Back Your Play with Q. And with that, we have our nestled in with the hoodie warm. The Detroit Lions are play that is still sitting there. The prop kind enough to join us on BYP. We are one game away. I am from cashing in, 2 games away from really cashing in on the Lions. How are you, my friend?
They laughed at me,
They laughed at us. They laughed at
us, right? They laughed at us, and when we're wrong, we're wrong.
Yeah.
I had that beautiful flyer on Golf MVP, and people could say, "Oh, you're way off." In a muddled pile, he was, 40, 50 to 1 was not a terrible number.
It wasn't.
If the last man standing, and if they had beaten Dallas and gotten the 2 seed, he'd have been right there. But that loss was bad for his futures, but what weren't terrible for Detroit's futures. And then, of course, like we spoke about 2 weeks ago, we catch a break with Dallas losing, and Detroit gets Tampa Bay, and they win the game and cover the game they were supposed to win. And now all of a sudden, everybody's all knees and elbows. Yeah, I knew Detroit. I'm where we thought we would be, and I thought the line would be 7. People were telling me 8. A couple of people said 6. Money line wise, you should be right around a good number is 280 plus 280. I think Circa Vegas has something higher than that, 285, 290. I've seen it as low as 260 at DraftKings, which is, but I think San Fran, it's an overlay. I'm not hedging at all, and I'm going to play Detroit. They're going to hand me the 7. I'll play Detroit plus the 7. I'm going to play Detroit money line to add into the future, because I have NFC futures and I have Super Bowl futures. Now, obviously, they're either going to get the Ravens or the Chiefs. They beat the Chiefs game 1 without Kelce. I know it was without Kelce. It was a good game, but they won. They won on the road. And then they had that game they got killed that we spoke about after they beat Tampa in the middle of the year. I said, they have Ravens coming up. And remember, we were right on it.
You called that game. Yep.
Yeah, because I said they could get down early, and if you're going to lose a game, you want to lose out of division, out of conference. You're not tanking the game, but you're not doing anything, lifeboatish. You're not throwing all the stops out. You're just playing your game. Yeah, we're getting killed. It's just play normal. And people are going to point to that game, and I think you're going to end up getting a little bit of an overlay. If they end up playing the Ravens in the Super Bowl as well, it'll still probably be about 7. If they play the Chiefs, I think Lions will be plus 3, maybe 3.5, 4. I can't see it being more than 3. So obviously, I'm hoping for Detroit, Kansas City. If there's ever a year where you're going to get both dogs in the conference finals, both dogs to win, if you could go back 40 years, even 50 years, a lot of these split favorite dog, favorite dog, favorite dog. There's very few years that go favorite, but it's more often than go dog.
Mm-hmm.
But in this year of uncertainty, I don't want to call it absolute parity, but there's a lot of parity. There's no super team. Like the years
every team's
flawed. Yeah, there's no more Brady New England. There's no more years past type thing. Everybody's flawed. Everybody's flawed. And in one game, a lot can happen in one game.
Well, we saw it over the weekend. We listen. So perfect example, right? Love makes the inexplicable throw. They've got a team on the ropes. Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield makes the bad decision. They had a team on the ropes. Baltimore, as we predicted, started to pull away in the second half, which they did. And then you got Kansas City and Buffalo, where, listen, both teams kept each other in that game. And by the
What a
way,
game. A great
I
game.
think they wanted to showcase your comeback player of the year by doing a
How do you think what happened? You talk about storybook. What if he breaks the tackle and goes, then nobody's saying
horrible.
anything about how
What are we doing here?
People were mad. Why are you gonna run it to him? You know what? It didn't hurt him. They got the ball back.
It was a horrible. I know they got the ball right back, but that was just a stupid.
Terrible.
That was
what? Why not just go through 4th and 5, line Josh up, go for it 4th and 5.
Yeah,
it's almost like I just think get your best out there, go get the 5 yards if you want to go for it, and then have your defense make a stop. I mean, I tweeted it at the time. I said, Kansas City didn't punt till the end. They made no stops. They scored every time they had the ball. This didn't look like the Kansas City offense of all year. The one that was in Denver and the one that was in Green Bay and blah, blah, blah. But for one game, they were just clicking all cylinders. Buffalo couldn't stop them.
You think the Bills
Josh Allen played great. Josh Allen played great. Stephon Diggs drops a deep pass.
Game changer. Do you think their window
it changes the game?
You think their window closed? I think
you know what? As long as you have Allen, they're going to be. We might see if you're just a flat fan. Forget the regionality. If you're just watching as a fan, we might see this. Another 4 or 5 times.
I'll
Allen
take it.
Versus Mahomes. I think it was a great game. It just, you can't, I think I was for, if they wanted to get rid of McDermott, I actually wouldn't be bad about it. But you also, if you wanted to play devil's advocate and say, you know what, they were 6-6. They lost the game in Philly where
got rid of the coordinator.
Every call was against them in Philly. They were the better team. The kicker kicks a 900-yard field goal in the freezing rain. I mean, everything that could fall right or wrong against that game. And then the next week they went to Kansas City and won, and then they won 6 straight. You could say, look what McDermott did.
Saved his job.
Yeah, I'm not against it, but it leads into one of the quick things we're going to talk about is how Belichick, Atlanta has not hired Belichick yet. And, unfortunately, the only rumor I had heard was
Raheem Morris.
The only rumor I had heard floating around in the NFL had to do with Vic Fangio. And somebody who worked for Vic Fangio all the way back in Carolina is the front office for the Eagles. And the Vic Fangio tie to the Eagles, there are ties to there. And so Miami didn't so much fire Fangio as he wanted to come to Philly. So you won't hear it, but one of the assistants to Roseman is a Fangio guy.
Interesting take.
Fangio, so when Fangio worked for Dominic Caprio, Tom Capers, a lot of these guys that are very prominent in the NFL now were all scouting assistants. And here's another interesting thing. I don't know if this could happen, but did the Bears give Greg Roman the offensive coordinator job? I did not see that today. He interviewed. He's the ex-Ravens offensive coordinator, and he was tied with Harbaugh all the way back to Stanford, and then he was let go. He was with the Bills for a cup of coffee. Rex Ryan let him go. He went to the Ravens, was there 3-4 years with Lamar. Transition from Flacco to Lamar, and believe it or not, is also very close with somebody in the Eagles office. He's actually worked for Vic Fangio, even though Greg Roman was on the offensive side.
Ocean City, Greg Roman.
Greg Roman with the Holy Spirit. Greg Roman was a defensive player when he played at John Carroll. So my thinking is, if the Bears don't hire him, he may get an interview with the Eagles. Don't be surprised. It hasn't been announced anywhere, but it would make kind of sense. If you needed a coordinator, why not get they can tie it in. They like local guys that are good. It's not like he's terrible. But that was the tie with Fangio. So I didn't hear anything else about like Belichick. There's these rumors that Kraft might be killing Belichick on the back end, and the owners listen to him because he's made the owners so much money, and he's on every committee you could think of, and blah blah blah. I think whatever apprehension Arthur Blank has, I think how can he not hire Belichick?
Well, it's enough where they're looking at Raheem Morris, who's the front runner right now.
He is the front runner, but here's what's really odd. If there's something going on, I don't know when it's going to come out, but look at the other people in that division. You have a new coach in Carolina, right? You have Todd Bowles. You have, you're not exactly talking about Paul Brown. And,
it's a weak division that he can own.
I mean, he doesn't just, I don't care what staff you give him. He's not beating Todd Bowles. He's not beating everybody in that division.
You think he's being blackballed to some extent, or maybe just take a year
off?
It's
kind of hard to go backwards. If he's the GM, he calls all the shots. He puts the tape up. Nobody goes past it. But if I'm Blank of 82, you really want to be that much hands-on? You're the hardware guy. I'm listening to you when I want to get a refrigerator, and I want to know how to do wholesale, garden hoses.
Yeah.
I don't know if football, he's going to come in and start dictating personnel. Roll it out. It is Bill Belichick, but
and get rid of our team.
Washington. He might be getting blackballed unless something was said in the interview where he thinks he might sit on his hands a year and watch what happens in New York. Maybe
could be.
I know Woody Johnson don't like him, but who cares at that point? I can't see him going off into the sunset. Atlanta hasn't been nailed down. They blew our prediction out of the water with Washington.
Well, how about Brian Daboll? If Brian Daboll's on the hot seat, and we already know the affinity that Belichick has with the Giants,
sure,
we know what they think of him. And if
depend on their pick, maybe it's 1 year.
I mean, we thought the Harbaugh domino needed to fall, right? Regarding pretty much
where's he going to go? Yeah. And San Diego, everybody knew he was going to go. Everybody that had an opinion, it makes sense. Oh my God! I mean, he's a quarterback. He played there. He's won a college title. He's won a conference title in the NFL. And I believe that Herbert was injured. I think that the non-throwing hand, bothered him a lot. If you go back and watch a Kansas City game on the road, the shootout, the defense for San Diego was terrible, but he missed about 4 or 5 throws that were, and then he had 2 balls tipped. The guy's 6'11" or whatever he is. He's a tall guy. How you getting balls tipped? Baker Mayfield should get balls tipped. But be that as it may, this will be it. All the eyes are going to be on Herbert, not on Harbaugh. I think they'll do well with him. It's great. I was surprised that Raiders kept Pierce, but they hire Tom Telesco, who was the GM for the Chargers. He goes right to the Raiders, and
I like the move.
He is good picking guys. I told you before on this show, I know him acquaintance-wise. He loves Notre Dame guys. Loves Notre Dame people. Loves players that come out of programs that are very structured. He's going to be good. I think, what's good here is he didn't pick the coach.
Correct.
Mark Davis picked the coach. So Mark Davis can fire the coach, and Tommy Telesco can work with Pierce and say, hey, listen, let's work together. I didn't hire you. I'm not going to fire you. I'll give you the ingredient. Go do what you do. My problem is with the Raiders, I don't think Pierce is any good. and this kind of narrative that's all over talk of, yeah, the players are. We've
It means
said it.
nothing.
Most of those players ain't going to be there. You can't let the players or the fans dictate anything. That's just the way it is. But next week we'll have something to talk about because Belichick either will not be hired or he'll be hired.
Well, you got to think about this. Carolina looks like they got a guy in place already. It looks like Atlanta's going to go in a different direction. Washington, we forget about that. You know, you got Grable still out there. You got Pete Carroll still out there. The Hall ball domino with the Chargers.
I do think Vrabel might end up with Seattle
as a head coach or coordinator.
Head coach. I mean, why not? Why not? Vrabel's good.
See, you know what's funny?
Vrabel's not great, but he's good. He doesn't. He
overachieved. He overachieved in Tennessee. What's funny is that the Eagles that have their heads up their ass big time right about now. I'm wondering also a guy like Mike Grable and/or Ron Rivera, if they would have made those hires for coordinators respectively, that automatically puts a bullseye on Nick Sirianni's back, meaning, hey, if we get rid of this guy, we have guys that have coached in the NFL with a level of success, albeit
I don't think you can bring in a coordinator to make Sirianni nervous. I think Vic Fangio is at an age where I don't think he wants.
He doesn't want a head coach.
He had it in Denver. He's always been a really good coordinator. I mean, Fangio's background, I'm not going to look it up, but from what I remember, he's a Jim Mora guy. He was an assistant with the Stars, if I remember correctly.
You're going back to the 80s.
Yeah, and then I believe he was.
By the way, he's only 65.
Yeah, he's a young 65. So
no, but you're right. He went from Baltimore, Philadelphia.
He was a Baltimore. Hold on, let me see if I guess. Don't tell me. He's either with the Saints or Pittsburgh. I can't remember.
He was with the Saints, linebacker coach.
With the Saints. So he's a linebacker coach with the Saints under Moore. So Moore basically took him every. And then Dom Capers, I believe, was the defensive coordinator of Pittsburgh. And then when Capers got the Carolina job,
bingo.
Fangio went to Carolina.
Bingo.
And then a lot of guys that are very prominent now were all assistants. I'm not even talking about assistants. I'm talking about like, get me coffee for $9 an hour.
But let's not forget.
And now they're prominent in the NFL. Greg Roman's one of them. Tom Telesco's one of them. You have a lot of these guys that are. I mean, it seems like, to me and you, that doesn't seem like long ago. It's almost 30 years.
Yeah, and
these guys are 26, 27 years. Yeah.
And let's not forget, Fangio was a special consultant with the Eagles in 2022.
Yes, yeah. And that was because of his ties to, I'm not going to say his name and let people guess it, but somebody in the front office who, these guys talk. These guys get on the phone with each other. It doesn't matter what team they are. And it probably was like, hey, listen, let's bring him in as an assistant and, come in and meet Howie Roseman and blah, blah, blah. This is a network of things that comes down. I think Fangio's an improvement over all these guys. And, you're going to get to dump some contracts. And the Eagles, it's sad what happened, but I think they'll be right in the middle of everything next year. We talked about it. Apparently, we're in the minority. I think Hurts was hurt. You think Hurts is hurt. Everybody's like, oh, he's hurt. Everybody's hurt. I think he was hurt out of the jump. And he kind of coasted. He didn't try to break tackle. I think with all the talk on him, you're going to see a revitalized Hurts next year. You're going to see him doing stuff like Josh Allen did with broken plays in his Kansas City game, where he was just running into guys and he didn't care. Almost, they say Baker Mayfield. Mayfield's trying to get hurt. Doesn't think he's trying to get hurt? I mean, he's just fighting and scrapping. And I mean, Mayfield had over 4,000 yards this year, and I think almost 30 touchdowns. I mean, he had a career year.
Incredible.
Out of people, and he's a gamer. It's hard for the first pick overall to be an underachiever, but he's I don't think he's a middle of the pack guy anymore. I think he's in the top 13. They were a whisker away from beating the Chiefs, the good Browns team, and they had the similar fumble, I believe, as Harden did, where it fell out of the back of the end zone,
which is a horrible call, by the way. Get rid of it. Get rid of that.
What do you think? Yeah, here's what I think should happen. It should be interesting. Like people say, oh, you shouldn't lose possession. I said, well, you're protecting the goal. So you don't want to mess around down there. It's important. If you change the possession, why doesn't the offense get the ball
on the one? I've had that argument for years. Instead of
you get the ball,
yeah,
but you're on the one.
Yep.
The touchback and get it and the change of possession,
which is ridiculous.
Double whammy.
It's a double.
So I've heard some things floated. So you don't lose the ball. You have to go back to the 20.
Yeah, nah.
That's okay. You know what? I'll split the difference. If that happens, you still get a field goal try, whatever. But if you want to stick to the letter of the game, I'm protecting my goal. I'm trying to score at the other goal.
Yep.
Change possession, you get it at the 1. No touchback.
And by the way, Pacheco was not in on that series. Think about that. Yeah. Right?
Harden only touched the ball twice. He only touched the ball 2 times.
It's utterly ridiculous.
So is Reed going to do something goofy like that against the Ravens? Because he's playing a real defense here.
Well, that's, it's funny you mentioned that, because I think the rub on that game is the narrative's going to be Andy Reid, Kelsey, Mahomes, here we go, their last hurrah. I mean, come on, you're playing in the AFC. Just Baltimore's had that exceptional season. The narrative come Monday will either be Lamar Jackson, etched his status as an all-timer, right? Or it's going to be, this is why Patrick Mahomes is one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. There to me is not going to be an in-between, right?
Well, what if the Ravens lose 31-28 on a tough call? One of his receivers fumbles.
Miss a field goal.
A missed tackle. 10 years from now, or 10 months from now, we'll forget. If you don't look it up, it'll be like,
well, it's only because Lamar Jackson.
But if he plays great,
right,
and Mahomes, Josh Allen can't take a hit for some. People are trying to kill Allen for this game. There's impossible. They're killing the head coach. You're against Mahomes. I said it on the show. I think you've said. Outside of Brady, there's nobody even close.
I think it's also, but I think because they had the game at home, though. I think they had the game at home. And look, Diggs failed. Diggs failed him miserably. By the way, no one's talking about this. He wanted out in the offseason, clamoring, I want the ball more. And that ball was placed perfectly. It's a game-changing play. But yes, to your point.
He's got to shut up. And Allen on that last drive, he should have went for the first down. The ball got tipped at the line. He was throwing for the end zone. He had a guy.
Had the same thing against the Eagles. Had the tight end wide open, just didn't make the throw in overtime.
But that play, I was reading up the Buffalo newspapers, and Allen took the hit for that. The guy ran the wrong pattern in that Eagles game. He's supposed to cut to the goalpost, not cut to the corner. Yeah. These things happen.
Cut to the Chevy.
It's a very close game. My point being is, if it's a close game, are we going to kill Lamar? Maybe a little bit. Because there'll be enough plays that we can say, why didn't he do this? Now, the Chiefs are a real defense. I mean, that's the best part of their game outside of Mahomes. Chiefs play.
Yeah, but Baltimore can run the football too. And you take pressure off Lamar Jackson, he's going to kill you with his legs. Yes. He's going to kill you with his legs.
I hate to say it. I hate to see the Ravens win this game. But everybody's sick of the Chiefs. I mean, the world's going to root for Detroit. And then you want to talk about that? I mean, Shanahan, if this gets to be a close game, I have no doubt Shanahan is going to pull up tight. We all know what he did in the Super Bowl, and it hurt Dan Campbell. This thing where he kind of, they're up 23. That hurts him. He doesn't challenge the Eagles' fourth down play here. Now, I know everybody got hurt, but that changes the game. They don't score a touchdown there. They're going to shoot for a long field goal. I think the most egregious thing was against the Rams. They're up 10 in the fourth quarter. He has 4th and 2 on the 45 or something, and he takes a 5-yard penalty and punts.
Yeah.
And goes down the field, scores a touchdown. Now, all of a sudden, it's a different game, because you're afraid with your team to get 2 yards up 10. And then Actually, I take that back. That's not the most egregious. The first half last week, where they played for a 55-yard field goal with almost 2 minutes, to a minute 40 something left. They're playing. They were afraid.
Yeah.
I say that. I mean Shanahan. Shanahan was
Yeah.
afraid to leave the ball for Purdy. They kicked the 54-yarder.
Can't coach and play like that.
Well, he's scared.
But then conversely,
He's coaching scared. He's a great coach because a lot goes into this more than game. But this is going to cost him. So if it comes down to a close game, Shanahan's going to punt, or he's going to take a field goal, a lot like McVay did.
Right. And Campbell's going to be aggressive.
They practice this stuff. This is what I mean. I mean, you can't be reactive. Good thing about Sirianni is he's not reactive either. And that Super Bowl, I've said it before, he planned on using all 4 downs, and it confused the announcers. It includes fans. When they were sitting 3rd and 9, and they ran a draw with Hurts,
they're going for it on 4th.
Oh, what a stupid play. No, it isn't.
It's going for
4th and 3. He already knows what he's going to
100%.
do. That's powerful. And I'll tell you how powerful it is. Try to defend it.
Yeah.
Bet against that. And then you're sitting there and guys are holding up this. Yeah, they're happy it's 4th down. No. Not if you're against Campbell or Sirianni or Peterson. You got to defend. You almost want them to punt. You don't want them to go for it. And Reed is kind of going into that too. Imagine, this is just it's almost like in poker that, the inferred probability. If you hit the hand and you get the guy on tilt, there's some value in that. You're defending Mahomes, and you got him, you sack him on 2nd down, you're 3rd and 13. And Reed knows he's using all 4 plays. And they run a play and it gets 9 yards. And the defense is thrilled. They're like, they're going to kick
that's a manageable 4th down for them.
We're not kicking a field goal. You have to stop Patrick Mahomes, Kelsey, these guys again for 3 yards. What would you rather have? Would you rather have them take the field goal, or you want to see Mahomes? You don't want that.
No.
We tend to think of the negative side. What's the bad thing can happen? That's where Shanahan's head's at. Dan Campbell thinks of the positive. If you get it, we keep the ball. I also think you're going to pay these guys $1 zillion. You want it to have the ball. You want to have it in their hand. You don't want to leave it to your kicker or whoever else. I want it in my guys' hands.
Of course.
I want it all. We put all the money in the line. You put all the money in my quarterback.
Perfect example.
Go make the play.
Look what happened last year. Early in the season, set the tone last year for Denver. They give Russell Wilson all that money, and what do? On 4th and 3, they take it out of his hands. They elect to go for a field goal. It blows up in their face, and boom, poor Nathaniel Hackett is on the unemployment line until Aaron Rodgers bails him out.
We're talking. I was looking up some history because of San Fran, Detroit, which is great. So obviously, I'm not that old. I don't remember the 57 game, and you can't find it really anywhere. It used to be late night. ESPN, Steve Sabol would have some
NFL
crazy interview with, Bobby Lane. The last time Detroit won it all, and they'd show highlights and you learn all this stuff, and then nowadays, if you see something like that, maybe you'll start to look it up. Let's look at the play selection, see what happened, that kind of thing. But I do remember the 83 San Fran Detroit game. I remember it very specifically because it was 83. It's before Jerry Rice.
Hipple?
It's not before Montana was Montana.
No, because
Montana
he won with 81. Yep.
He won a Super Bowl. The next year they come back. The next year is the Washington Miami year.
Yep.
The strike year. And that's the year San Diego had a really good year.
That's right.
Miami was really good. Washington was really good.
Hook and lateral game, Fulton Walker.
No, that's the 82 strike year is the rematch of
the hook. Okay.
And San Diego was better, and Miami destroyed them. It was just the crazy part. They play in Miami. Nobody ever talks about it. Woodley is the year before Marino, so Woodley they them. That Super Bowl is Washington and Miami. Riggins wins MVP. So next year, San Fran is good. Washington is really good. The
Very
Raiders
good.
are really good. Seattle's really good with one of my favorite names of all time still, Kurt Warner, the
Kurt Warner,
original Kurt
running
Warner.
back from
Penn
Penn
State's
State.
Kurt
Yeah.
Warner.
Steve
Yeah,
Largent. Yep.
Chuck Knox is Seattle.
The
So
old AFC West. The old
AFC
AFC
West. You had some, and you had Marcus Allen was a rookie, and you had a lot going on. But I remember the feeling, the NFC Central was still Peyton and no quarterback. Detroit Lions was Billy Sims and Bubba Baker and no quarterback. And Green Bay was Lynn Dickey and no quarterback. So you had you never really you were like, okay, who cares about that? We still got Dallas. So I remember the thinking when they played playoff game, Detroit, I think, snuck in one division close. I think they had to go. They were like 9-7, but from my memory, they were a decent team. But Gary Danielson was the quarterback,
That's
and
right.
Eric Hipple was the quarterback.
Yep.
Eric Hipple played at I think Utah State or somewhere. I remember he came out like a house of fire. I remember me thinking, oh wait, they got a quarterback. Detroit's not bad. And back then, you could absolutely destroy the quarterback. So somebody blasted him. I actually put on my timeline on Twitter him getting his decapitated. It's one of the worst hits I've ever seen a quarterback take. I don't think it was that same season. But anyway, he gets injured. So they play that game. So the thinking of that time, I don't know if you remember that. I know I'm a little bit older than you, but was, this is going to be an easy thing for San Fran. So nobody watched the first half. I think we were out playing football. Remember coming back and third quarter, it's 14-9. 14-6 or 14-9. So I didn't watch the first half at all. San Fran was the first play I watch. I remember coming in right is Billy Sims runs 57 or 60 yards. Boom. And he gets stopped at the 1.
Wow.
And I think it was Eric Wright. It wasn't a lot, but he gets stopped at the 1. And again, I haven't looked at the highlight. It might be like the inch. I mean, he gets stopped at the 1. And Detroit doesn't get in. They don't get in. They kick a field goal. So think of that today. But
also think about this. It could change the whole complexion.
Oh my God.
The 40.
So he doesn't get in. He does, and Eddie Murray, what I remember about Eddie Murray at the time was probably the best kicker in the NFL. Everybody, kicked indoors, but he was phenomenal. Yeah. And Eddie Murray kicked a 54-yarder in that game. Now, I didn't say it, but at 54 yards, that might have been, that's like an 84-yarder. Yeah. Nobody kicked 54 yards. So they don't get in. They kick a field goal, but they come back. The defense plays, they come back, they score twice, and they take the lead. The game's done. I mean, the game's done. Of course, unless you got Montana goes down the field a minute 30-something. And I remember watching it, rooting for Detroit, thinking, this pig, who's he going to get? He gets Freddie Solomon in the back of the end zone. They score, but there's still time for Detroit. Detroit goes down the field. They get to the 25. Danielson goes down the field. I think he hits the tight end down the field. 25-yard line for Eddie Murray. I said, this is done. This is over. And it sails right. 41 yard. It's so sickening. Now, I did go back and look up because Eddie Murray stayed in the league for a long time. He got a ring with Dallas.
That's right. He beat the Giants in overtime.
And I found a quote that he said, that kick made me better. He was as good. He goes, I knew I was good. He's like a scratch golfer or something. Crazy.
Yeah, he's very good.
He said, he's the Al Del Greco-ish golfer. So he said that kick made me better because I knew now if I was outside, I did not go down the line.
Right.
I made it go the other way. And he goes, I got better from it. Now that's no consolation to the poor Lions fans who've had to wait until now. But that team was good. Doug English is on that team. I mean, people forget Billy Sims because of Sanders. Because
he was great running back.
84 Sims blew his knee out.
Yeah.
And Billy Sims isn't in the Hall of Fame. He should be in the Hall of Fame because he was. I mean, you remember Billy Sims was phenomenal. Yeah. He was a great player. And that game, if they win that game, they probably don't beat Washington.
Right.
Washington was very good. And then the next week, I think we talked about that game. The next week was the week where that was the year where San Fran was down 21-0, and Montana came all the way back, and then they had to drive Washington. They give them 2 pass interferences, and then the football gods were right that it were aligned correctly to have the Raiders kill
Jack Squire. Yep.
So I think as you compare that to this, I've spent a lot of time this week comparing that team, that Lions team, to this Lions team. That Lions team was good enough to beat San Fran. This Lions team is good to beat San Fran. And this line should be 3.5 at the most. Now, it's dangerous to say that, especially for somebody like me who respects the market. Late in the week, a fully liquid market. What you're saying is I'm more right than people that are much smarter than they are. And I do think I have a little bit of a bias, but I also think this is a year where you said it at the beginning of the show, everybody has flaws. And I think this will be a close game. And I think the Lions will win this game. Now, will they win the Super Bowl? I don't know. I don't want to. You go against Mahomes, I'd love to see some kind of crazy shootout. You go against the Ravens, it's probably going to be the Ravens defense. The Lions have a real offense. They got a lot of weapons. Both running backs are good. I mean, their line's good. Nobody talks about their offensive line. Their line's good. They don't ask a lot of Goff.
Right.
Goff has,
don't turn the ball over.
If you watch if you watch the plays, and I watched every play Detroit has run this year twice. I watched every play of the game. The Bears lost. I watched the whole first half. What did they do differently? Second half. They have a big time offense. And if San Fran has any kind of hiccup, and then of course, Deebo Samuel, is he going to be 100%? It's a huge difference. I don't think Deebo Samuel affects the line as if he was a quarterback. But I think you go offense versus defense. I like them in the game, and if you talk about the other game, it's really tough not to take 3.5 with Mahomes. But I got to feel if I'm the Ravens, you just don't let Kelce beat you. Am I wrong?
No, you're right.
I mean, it's easier said than done. But am I not getting these guys together and saying, listen, here's what Kelce does. Here's how he gets open. Here's the plays.
Don't let him beat us. Don't get that seam route.
I'd go back to the plays. I don't care what reads run. But I'll go back all the way 10 years to plays maybe they haven't run yet, tight end wise.
Yep.
I don't want Kelce beating me.
Nope.
I'll let these other guys beat me.
These receivers that can't catch the ball. Yep.
If the other guys beat me, I'm going to lose. And now, flip it around. If Lamar plays a good game, not a terrific game, they play a good game and your defense plays well, it's going to come down to 4 or 5 plays. And,
right.
And he might be able to make those plays. They're going to be stuck in an important 3rd and 4.
Sure.
Can he go out and get 6 yards? And if he does, anybody who's watching this, you're going to remember, there it is.
Right.
There's the championship play. That's the play that they did. So if you want to ask me for a play, it's really hard for me to like 3.5 here.
But you definitely like the Lions. We know that. But you're not. So as we close,
God, I also like the over. The over is astronomically high. It's 51. I look for excuses not to play these crazy high lines. I mean, I think the thing's going to go higher. It actually is higher. So I played it at 51. A bunch of places have 51.5. You might find it in PA at FanDuel, still 50.5. It's going to go over because Detroit gets a little bit lucky. They can't cover anybody down the field.
So
that's not San Fran's game. That isn't San Fran's game. I mean, it really isn't. But I think they got a really good shot here. I think they should be right around plus. They should be the kind of dog that KC is, not the dog that they are.
Gotcha.
It's ballsy to say it. I'm going to look stupid if they lose. I don't think they're going to lose 45-10. I don't think they will. If they lose 38-35.
high scoring, crazy game.
They lose 41-31. That offense, and God forbid they get down 10 points. Campbell's going to send a punter he's going to say, get away, get the whole kicking guys, get away from me. He's going to go for 4th and 9.
Yep.
He's going to it's going to be like a street game or a Madden football game. It's going to be fun. They're going to score some points.
All right.
Anything you want to say about Embiid? 70 points. I had a little opinion about that.
I mean,
at what point? Here's the shocking to me. We follow basketball our whole lives. The narrative of, oh yeah, this is a Sixers record. What? Oh, okay. Because Wilt played for the world.
That's stupid. Come on. It's 100 points. Stop. What are we doing here?
Philadelphia. It said Philip.
What are we doing?
This thing. It's
70 points is fantastic. He's averaging 40 for the month. He's right now the MVP, the front runner. You got to love what Nick Nurse is doing. You know what? Now that Doc Rivers is coaching the Bucks, they have an opportunity to get out of the second round. That's all I have to say about that.
It's a great game. 70-18 is phenomenal.
Monster.
It made me go back and look. I look at Kobe's and Jabbar had a great quote about Kobe. So Kobe played phenomenal in that game. He was 7-13 from 3. Like 28 of 46
from
combined.
The floor.
He made every free throw, I think, except for like 2 or 3. Just like Embiid. Embiid only missed 2 free throws. That's why he's such a good free throw shooter. Embiid, that foul line extended is like, I mean, unbelievably hard to stop. But I went back. Jabbar's quote was impressive, but not as impressive as Elgin Baylor. So it stuck with me because there's no 3-point line. So I go back and look at Elgin Baylor against the Knicks. He played against the Knicks. He didn't do it against the Spurs, who were 5-100.
Correct.
So he did it against the Knicks. So Elgin Baylor, 70 points with 25 rebounds. He took 48 shots. But just think about that for a second. If you're playing a rec game, and it's like, you ever been in like a rec game and somebody brings a ringer in and the guy grabs every rebound and scores every point. It's like, no, you're watching or you're reffing an 8th grade basketball game and the dude drives up, it's a CYO 8th grade game and the guy's like 17, and he blows in and he grabs every rebound.
5 and 10. And
the kids dunking, that's what the Elgin Baylor games have been like, like what in the world are we going to do? Oh, well, it's insanity.
He, of course, is the prop. Give him a follow on Twitter and X, I should say, Professor Shine. And as always, his appearance from our wonderful friends over Played Again Sports. Hey, swing by right now. They got old jerseys as well. You want some throwbacks, get yourself ready for the AFC, NFC championship games as well. And plus, they have a lot of snow equipment that's on sale right now. If you love to ski, we know we might get some snow coming down on the East Coast, especially in our backyard, Philly, Jersey, Delaware market swinging right now. 1450 Clemensford Road, Perkville, New Jersey, Deptford. Right
go out. I'm going to give you one. I'm going to give you one thing. If you don't play, if you don't want to play a game, Ravens Chiefs. I think play the Ravens future. It's not a great one, or money line parlay Ravens and close it with the Ravens in the Super Bowl. That might actually be better odds. There actually is a decent prop if you agree with me and you think Detroit will make it. I sold 10-1 Goff to win Super Bowl MVP. It might, that was a few days ago. I had not checked it in a few days. It probably could be 8 or 9-1, or maybe it didn't move. If you get 9-1, so if Detroit makes it, obviously that line will go down. But quarterbacks win the MVP. If you want to mess around and take a flyer, maybe even on Lamar. I don't think you take it on Mahomes because Mahomes, well, I can't say that. I didn't see the price, but I do think that is a decent flyer. But I do think that the Ravens' odds to win it are not as good as if you do Ravens money line. But it will be worse if it's Ravens. So you have to weigh the options.
Gotcha.
We'll talk about it more next week because we have 2 weeks.
Yep, absolutely. All right, my friend, enjoy the games over the weekend, and hey, go Detroit Lions. Appreciate it.
That's right. Take care.
All right.